The San Francisco 49ers get dominated by the Seattle Seahawks 41-6, and it ends their 2025-2026 Cinderella story run. All right. Welcome back to another San Francisco 49ers post-game from the Behind the Back podcast. Guys, I'm your host, Benny the Jet Retz, and I am depressed. I am Benny the Depressed Retz. Man. That was tough to watch. That was really tough to watch. You got to start by handing it to the Seahawks. I mean, look, in Week 18, I kind of said it in my post game. I would never give them a ton of credit because, screw the Seahawks. But this is a complete football team from top to bottom. Mike McDonald has done a fantastic job with that team, with that defense too. Clint Kubiak is doing a great job with the offense. They know their strengths. Their strengths lie on the ground. Call them the Eagles. This is a team who dominates the ground game, and they want to beat you doing that, and then open things up from there. This is a complete football team, top to bottom. Their lines, both offensive and defensive, are fantastic. This is a team that plays together. This is a team that absolutely deserved the 1 seed in the NFC through Week 18, and as a result, came out a lot more fresh than the 49ers. So, tough end of the season for the 49ers here. Let's talk about what went right for the 49ers. Okay, let's talk about what went wrong for the 49ers in this game. First one is the first quarter collapse. Now look, one of the keys to the game, when Marcos and I were talking about this week, was you got to start hot. 49ers did an awesome job in Philadelphia just a week ago, starting hot in that game, came out punching, came out with a big score to start the game, and they were able to kind of suck the air out of the stadium, pull a lot of that momentum out of the stadium and utilize it for them. Complete opposite thing happened here. You let Rashid Shaheed return an opening kickoff for 95 yards. I've been saying that trade deadline move for them was arguably the best of the deadline for any team, and I stand by that. It's kind of fitting that I've been saying that, and then this kind of thing happens against the 49ers. For them to go out and get Rashid at the trade deadline, knowing what they needed, and just what he's been able to do on kickoff returns, punt returns, we've seen it multiple times, what he's been able to impact outside of special teams as well. Like, he's a fantastic pickup for that team. And he is fitting so well. And to just start a game like that, you already have the 13 days of rest going into this game. Your crowd is fired up because it's the first 1 seed you've had since 2014. This is the best Seahawks team in probably since then, right? So to be able to go out, hit a 95-yarder, score within 13 seconds of the game starting, essentially taking all the wind out of the sails for the 49ers if they wanted to have any. It's a huge play to start that game. So that was a big hit. So then you got the 49ers who need to come out and respond here, right? And they have a terrible 4th down play call that, results in a turnover on downs. Terrible call by Kyle. Now, on that same note, I think there was it's not an excuse. There was kind of a unfortunate thing where the Seahawks got a late timeout that was called for them, and 49ers were able to get the first down, but it's like we already showed them what look we're giving. Like we were throwing the ball there. Juwan Jennings had an easy first down. Now you have to completely switch up the play call you're going for, even if that play should have counted or not, because you got it off, you already lined up, you showed them the look you wanted to get to go with. You got to completely switch from there. So kind of just an unfortunate thing there, and then just an awful play call on that 4th down. I almost feel like maybe you should have just punted away, or at the very least, maybe on 3rd down, consider the tush push. I don't know. So that was tough. Resulting, I guess, the follow-up drive. On the follow-up drive, you got the Tunges fumble. So all three of these things, you got the Shaheed returning opening kick, you got the 4th down turnover on downs, and you got the Tunges fumble. All of them resulted in, at the end of the first quarter, 17 points for the Seahawks. You're not going to win a ball game doing that. I mean, you're not in the playoffs, probably not in the regular season, but definitely not in the playoffs, and definitely not against a team like the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. It was kind of the storm that just went their way in a lot of ways. So tough start to the game, and really no way to come back. I mean, look, the 49ers put up 6 points in total for this game. After the opening kickoff, if you knew they were going to put up 6, this game was over, right? So, tough first quarter. I think that's a lot of why the 49ers were never able to get any wind behind their sails and any momentum in this game. The next bad thing that happened throughout this entirety of this game, Kyle Shanahan was awful. I mean, you needed a Kyle Shanahan masterclass in this game to win. And he coached his worst game of the season. Simply put. I was saying, and I still stand by it, that he was coach of the year. He is coach of the year. Considering all that he's done with this team, full of injuries top to bottom, considering all the teams that he had to go through, he did a fantastic job this entire season. But again, I feel like we've been here on the biggest stage of the season, the biggest moments of the season. He just has poor play calls. So, I've heard a bunch of people kind of talking about, like, for instance, the third and short. I think it was like a 3rd and 2. Why not go to tush push? I agree. Why not go to tush push? I mean, it works, right? We've seen it work countless times for Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Could it be that he recognized how dominant that defensive front for the Seattle Seahawks was versus the offensive line for the 49ers, and so he didn't trust it? Maybe that's a factor. If that's the case, then it needs to also be a factor when you go to draft this year. So you got 6 draft picks in the first 4 rounds. If you truly feel as though you're not strong enough in a certain area, an area that really you haven't been strong in for a number of years now, then you need to invest your picks in that area. We'll see if that's the case. But based on the play calling, it really did feel like Kyle Shanahan felt as though he had the disadvantage on his offensive line. If that's the case, you got to fix that. So, poor coaching from Kyle Shanahan in this one. He was outcoached by Mike McDonald. Robert Saleh was outcoached by Clint Kubiak. Maybe this is the silver lining, okay? Robert Saleh is taking all these interviews with all these crazy amounts of head coaching opportunities open right now, and Robert Saleh looked piss poor in this one. I mean, just an awful showing from Robert Saleh. No scheme whatsoever in this one to stop this team. And I mean, it was not going to be an easy game to begin with, but 41 points and allowing basically Kenneth Walker to walk all over you, 3 touchdowns. He had a fantastic game. Kenneth Walker is an absolute dog. Dogged the 49ers down today. Terrible defensive scheme from Robert Saleh. I had 2 keys in this one, all revolving around the coaching, right? And one of those keys was I need Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan to coach some of their best games. And we saw some of the worst games out of these 2 guys. So you just can't have that in a moment like this. Saleh couldn't figure out how to scheme at all to stop even a parked scooter in this one. It's just a poor showing from both these guys. And, shout out to like Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. He knew the weaknesses that the 49ers had going in. He knew that they couldn't stop a run. And so they just continued to pound the rock. And even Zach Charbonnet, before he went out, he was having a good game. And hopefully Zach Charbonnet is not too banged up, and hopefully he's good to go for their next game, because you never want to see that. But just horrible coaching from the 49ers side of things. I mean, on the biggest moment of the season. And granted, again, I can't stress this enough. You're banged up. You're on short rest again. This is like 3 straight weeks where you're the rest disadvantage. And this is the second straight time against the Seattle team where you have the rest disadvantage. Tough to overcome those kind of things, especially when Seattle has 13 days of rest and you have, 5 days of rest. And you're coming off of a really emotional game in Philadelphia. So the timing of it all, the circumstances of it all, it just wasn't really lining up for the 49ers in this game. The 49ers limping into this game with so many injuries. Seahawks were healthier, the fresher, they were more fired up. This wasn't the year for the 49ers, right? This was a fantastic year for the 49ers. They overcame a lot of adversity. They overcame a lot of detrimental injuries. This is a team who, after week 7 or 8, pretty much any other team would have just sat down and said, it's not our year. 49ers ended 12-5. They had a shot at the 1 seed in week 18. They went into the Link in Philadelphia, hostile territory against the defending champs, and got a gutsy win after their star tight end, arguably the best tight end in football and a future Hall of Fame player, tears his Achilles. Dude, this is a great year from the 49ers. This year showed a lot of what the 49ers organization embodies. And now they go into next year hoping to get healthier, hoping to build on some of the things that they accomplished this year. And the hope is that they rebuild in the draft. You have some cap space. You got out of the Brandon Ayuk contract, which is garbage. It was garbage to begin with. You get out of that now. So it's a get out of jail free card. Thank you, Brandon Ayuk, for being Antonio Brown 2.0. There is an opportunity for the 49ers to rebound really well. And I think, the moves Marcos and I are going to talk about this season, he kind of already highlighted a few of the early things for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to do the same this week. We're going to have that conversation. I'm going to talk about what I think the first things that need to happen with this 49ers team is. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to say fire Kyle Shanahan. I'll be honest with you guys. If you're saying fire Kyle Shanahan, you really don't know what's going on. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I understand he has his issues, as do most coaches, and it's frustrating that we can continue to see the same issues from Kyle Shanahan, but reality is you fire Kyle Shanahan, and probably 10 to 15 teams are calling Kyle Shanahan asking for an interview, and probably 8 of those have a current head coach. Why on earth would you fire Kyle Shanahan, considering what he's done with this 49ers team since getting here? I understand he has, 9 playoff wins and not a Super Bowl to show for it. I understand that. I understand he's been to 2 Super Bowls and not been able to get it done with the 49ers. I get it. Sucks. It's tough. And he's had some of his worst performances on those big stages. But if you look at the career trajectory, if you look like Andy Reid, similar things have happened, right? Mike Tomlin had like a 10-year head start on Kyle Shanahan. And Shanny has more playoff wins than Tomlin did while with the Steelers. Or at least more appearances in the big stage. So, to think that firing Kyle Shanahan should be one of the first things to be done? No, that's not the answer. I think that the 49ers this year need to absolutely hit on their draft. I think they had a good draft last year. They need to do an even better job this year. I think you need to address that offensive line. You need to address wide receiver, right? Like, you don't have George Kittle going into next year. Do you address that in free agency with like a guy like Kyle Pitts? These are all things that Marcos and I are going to talk about. And this is just kind of a preview. Tune in next week. If you guys aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you get the notifications. Turn those notifications on so you know when we have this conversation, and you can tune in and hear our thoughts. You can let us know what you guys think. Leave a like, comment on that. But on this one, let me know how you guys feel. How did this season feel to you guys? Do you feel like it was a win? I'll give my overall grade next week when we do this conversation, Marcos and I. But it's not a loss of a season for me. It really isn't. Like, I'm not going to say that we were playing with house money in this game. I don't really like that phrase too much. But the 49ers didn't really have a ton to lose in this game. You already lost so many players. You didn't have your stars. Like, you were going off of any momentum that you could possibly get. And the Fred Warner thing, the fact he even had a shot at coming back was incredible. That is a 4 to 6 month recovery, and he was on the table to potentially return within 3 months to the date of his surgery. He's like, this season was a win for the 49ers. And I think a lot of people will probably disagree with me when I say that, and that's fine. But I don't look at this season as a complete loss. I think this final game was embarrassing. I think this final game was frustrating. From a fan perspective, like, you wanted to see this team do a lot better and put a lot more effort in, because what they've done all season long was be a lot better, put that effort in. You saw them fight a little bit more, and in this one, like, it just seemed like they were physically fighting with the Seahawks all game and not actually, putting in the fight on the football field. So, a tough way to end the season. But one thing to keep in mind, as an NFL fan, as a 49ers fan, one team every year goes home happy. One team every year goes home as a winner. The other teams who don't go home as a winner go home on a loss. A lot of them are crappy losses. You regroup, you retool, you go into next year, your hopes are high, you start 0-0, and you see what happens. And that's where the 49ers are at again. And I guess the final bit I want to give some credit to is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was incredible. Did he have a great game? No. But the heart that he showed is the heart that you need from a guy who's going to win you a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy will win the 49ers a Super Bowl. I am fully convinced of that. Dude ran for 400 yards behind the line of scrimmage, just keeping plays alive because our offensive line was so terrible in this last game. You cannot question the heart of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. He is absolutely relevant. He is here to stay. He is QB1. He is one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I am convinced of that. Whether his play shows it or not, his poise in big moments is his leadership is something that goes extremely underrated. So Brock Purdy is here to stay. He's my guy. Yeah, I think he's a lot of your guys' as well. You listen to some of these other 49ers media and they'll tell you otherwise, but I'm proud of him. I love what Brock Purdy did this season. He rebounded from an injury. He played on that turf toe all season long and playing like one of the better quarterbacks, making plays with his legs, extending plays, making plays down the field. I can't be mad at that. So, guys, I've been Benny the Jet Rets. Appreciate you guys for listening. This has been the final Behind the Back post-game edition for any of our teams, but for the 49ers especially. We will see you guys next year, but please hit that like, follow, subscribe us. We're going to be doing off-season content all year long. We're here every week. So stay up to date with us, guys. All of our socials are down below. You can give us a follow on those as well. And we'll see you next week. Peace. Bang, bang, Niner gang.